What? I like candy corn. Don't judge me. Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew. It's me once again. Welcome back to another movie review. Continuing on with my horror movie review series, this time I'm going to be reviewing Nosferatu, the 1979 film, otherwise known as Nosferatu the Vampyre. Now, here's the thing. Remember in my review of Nosferatu when I said that Nosferatu and Dracula were a little bit different? Well, turns out that they're actually pretty much the same. I don't know, it's been a long time since I watched the original Dracula and any other Dracula story. Also, I should point this out that Nosferatu is a German horror film. Same with this one, though there's an English dub version as well. So that's one thing I kind of should point out. So, yeah. But anyways, in this film, we follow Jonathan, who is going out to see Count Dracula as he goes to sell him a house. It takes him a long time to get there, and when he gets there and he shows his picture of his wife to Dracula, of course, odd things start happening with Dracula, and he tends to go to his home, and of course, it's basically the exact same story as the original film, except it definitely has a bit more differences, as near the end of the film, people start acting way more crazy. They have the plague, and there's a lot of rats in this movie too. Like, I mean, that's not really that important, but yeah. I definitely like this movie more than the first time I watched it. First time I watched it, I enjoyed it, but I definitely felt like it wasn't as well made as I thought it would have been. But looking at it a little bit more, I realized that the movie is still well made. In fact, it was a bit more well made than I thought. Like, for instance, performances, like, this is basically an amped up version of the 1922 film. Like, if you don't really care for silent horror films, then this is definitely more for you, because it's the same story, it's just told in a more talkative version, and there isn't that much music this time, while the original film was full of music. Like, that's all you could pretty much hear. But the film's lack of music in this one definitely sets more tension building, as with Klaus Kinski's phenomenal performance as Dracula, or Nosferatu. They never really call him Nosferatu because technically Dracula is Nosferatu, but they don't really call him that. They just call him Count Dracula, just like the original film, they call him Count Orlok. But yeah, this is a really, really nice looking movie. And for it being a remake, it definitely does pay homage to the original film. Like the makeup and the way the movie looks, the way it's shot too, it is all absolutely outstanding. And this was before we got modern horror remakes like The Ring, or, you know, all those other modern horror remakes. No, there were actually a lot of classic movies that were made into remakes in the 70s and the 80s. Like, there was Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Fly, of course, and The Thing, and others as well. And this is definitely one of the best, probably one of the best horror remakes of all time, in my opinion. And I actually never heard of this movie until I got it the same day as I got Nosferatu the original on Blu-ray. Like, I've seen Nosferatu the original, like, I've heard of that, but I never heard of the remake before. And I don't know why, because it was just as loved as the first film was, with critics and audiences alike. But I don't really see that many people talking about it, and I honestly don't understand why, because this movie is just as good. Though I will say the movie is a little bit slower than the original film because it's a little bit longer, but there are times where there are scenes that I just felt were absolutely unnecessary, at least a couple, specifically when Jonathan, the protagonist of the movie, is going to Count Dracula's castle, and it cuts to him, like, going from one area to another, and we see, like, visuals of the mountains and stuff. I feel like it kind of takes the tension away. It looks great, like, the visuals are beautiful, but I didn't really feel like it was fully necessary to show him, like, just going, like, it takes, like, 5 minutes, and it kind of makes the movie just a little bit slow. I mean, the movie is slow. Like, it's not insanely violent. I mean, there is a couple of blood scenes, but it's very minimal. As it's PG rated, it kind of doesn't get away as much as other classic horror films have. Like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers got away with so much, including nudity, and that was PG rated. So yeah, this film almost earns its PG rating, but it definitely feels more PG-13, but it's not like as gruesome or disturbing as Jaws because there isn't really any swearing or anything like that, but it's still definitely a creepy film. With its lack of music, definitely keeps the tension a little bit more building, and the ending is a little bit different. I mean, it's sort of the same, but they kind of go for something more different just with the last shot. If you weren't really a fan of the silent horror film, which in my opinion, I prefer the silent film a little bit more than this one, then this one you should definitely check out. Like, it's basically the same film just in color, or a lot more colors this time, and it might be a little bit more haunting to others. For me, I feel like the film is just a bit more haunting just because of the way Count Orlok feels and looks in that film. While he definitely looks intimidating in this one, and he's definitely creepy as hell, and he's definitely the show stealer, there was just something about the original that I felt like just kept the tension, but the tension here I still think is really good as well. In the end, guys, Nosferatu is the same movie pretty much, just a little bit longer and with a fresh new coat of paint, but I feel like it never does anything to take away what made the silent film so good to begin with. I can go as far to say as this is one of the best horror remakes out there, and this was before it was more common for horror films to get remakes, so yeah. And the cast is good, the performances all around. Klaus Kinski, I feel like, is just as good as Max Schreck. Is that how you pronounce his name? Because it might be Skrek, but whatever. He's still just as good in this movie, so it's a very well-made film that I still feel like holds up pretty well. Even if it doesn't have that much going for it as it seems to have. Like, it's not insanely gruesome or anything like that. It's not like Fright Night. It's not like From Dusk Till Dawn or Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's still definitely worth a watch if you're into slow burners and if you're into all that creepy visual effects. And I feel like they handled it very well here, and it's definitely better than the last time I watched it. First time I watched it, I give it a 4, but I'm giving it that extra boost because it definitely was much better the second time I watched it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.